Hey everyone, welcome to socialbytecc.com's second Human Interest Edition. We're going to have a great show today. We have Eileen Snodgrass on the line. We're going to be talking about her writing, her photography. We're going to talk about her speaking. She just does a great job here locally, and we really want to highlight her and let you know about her blog and some of the books she's written. And this is going to be a great show. I hope you guys enjoy it. Eileen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, David. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, it's great to have you on. I know you from church, and I know that you have been writing here locally, and you've kind of become one of these new media writers where you're not only incorporating traditional media like books, but you're using blogs and the internet and social media, and I just find that really interesting. I thought it'd be a really cool story to kind of highlight what you've been doing. I kind of want to get started just by, kind of giving us a little bit of history about how you got started, what you've worked on. Tell us a little about some of the projects that you've done.
Okay, great. Yeah, a journey is definitely what it has been. For years, I guess I published my first book back in 2006, so probably a couple of years leading up to that, friends would tell me, you really need to write. At that time, I was teaching, and they just kept encouraging me, please put this down in study form, in book form, so we can read it. And I really just dismissed them because all I could think about was, I remember English when I was in school, and I wasn't the best student, and my English papers were disastrous when I'd get them back from the teacher because, of course, they were just, laden with red marker all over them. And so that's all I could picture in my mind was just red marker all over my paper. But everyone just kept saying, you write, please write. And I finally got to the point where I would say, if God was really calling me to write, he would give me something to write about. I don't feel called to write. I don't have anything I want to write about. And it wasn't but a couple of months after that, I was reading in Scripture one day, and there was a phrase, for he will be a refiner's fire and a launderer's soap. And that launderer's soap just caught me. And I knew instantly it was just, that's what I'm supposed to write about. And so from that, I got diligent in writing. I had a lot to learn. The whole writing world and publishing was just totally foreign to me at that point. And so I just kind of dug in, started writing and just taking it one step at a time. And probably within a year's time, I had the first study out that I wrote, which was Dirty Laundry Secrets.
And what is the basis for that book? I know the inspiration. What's the story that you're telling in that book?
Yeah, the story in that book is really just, the tagline is a journey to meet the launderer, realizing that I always liken it to, I'm a mom of teenagers, and I hate doing laundry. I hate it. I hate it with passion. But, thankfully for us, Jesus is not like that. I mean, he's standing there every day with his laundry basket, standing there just going, give me your stuff, give me your dirty laundry, give me your stains and your stones. And so that was really the premise of it. It's a women's study, and it's 7 weeks. We start off with the first week just kind of talking about how, because of the stains, and some of the stains are things we've created. We can create our own addictions. Some of the stains come through different things we've been put through. If you have gone through abuse or molestation or anything like that, or in my case, what I went through was we were scammed by a scam artist and lost everything financially, and so all those things, we wear them like stains on our garments. And so we kind of start off the beginning of the study looking at that and saying, you know what, we don't have to wear these stains and these burdens. I mean, Jesus is there saying, just throw it in the laundry basket. And so the whole study is really just a journey of, walking through, looking at, it's time to give them up. We can walk, in new garments, as he tells us. And we look at that, the attributes and the attitudes, that we have to create to be able to do that. Clear up into how do you, develop a relationship with the launderer, and that's just through, daily going to him, and being real, just saying, I have this stain, I have this burden, I just, I want to give it to you because you tell us to do that.
That's a really great premise on that book. How about your second book? What's that about?
My second book is called I'm a Fixer Upper. That was not the original working title that I had. The working title I was going with Renovating God's House.
Mm-hmm.
And we looked at, our body is the temple of God.
Mm-hmm.
And we can renovate ourselves. We can remodel ourselves to be more like Him, and to realize that He resides in our hearts. But I had a pilot group that went through that study with me. I wrote and we studied for 6 and 7 weeks together before the final edits were made on the book and the book was published.
Mm-hmm.
And during that pilot group with this group of women, 15 to 20 women that I had, the phrase kept coming up. I feel like such a fixer upper. I have so much fixing up to do. And by the end of the class, they were just like, "You got to name this study like I'm a fixer upper."
Yeah.
And so that was kind of, I loved the way that one came about. And whenever it went off to publish, and they sent back the copy of
Mm-hmm.
the cover of the book, I didn't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, what are they going to do with this? And when it came back with just this huge paintbrush and all on it, I loved it. And the reason why I loved it is because, we as humans, we so easily want to fix the outside.
Mm-hmm.
If I have stuff going on and on the inside of my life, the turmoil, it's so easy for me to, dress up and act like I have my life together, put a smile on my face and act like I have it all together.
Right.
When the reality is on the inside, I'm just breaking.
Mm-hmm.
My whole life is crumbling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever the book came back, I was like, oh, that's just so appropriate, because that's the first remodeling we want to do. We want to fake everybody out. Let's just fix up the outside.
Yeah.
And God's just saying, like, no, I want to start with your heart. I don't care what's on the outside. Let's just start with the foundation, the root of everything going on, and build from there.
Great. That's it's really great story just to see how you've been able to capture, the things that in both your books, that seem to be discarded, and take it and you turn it into something that becomes useful, in making something, whether it be of yourself or with, whatever the situation is.
Right.
I think that's really great. What was the learning curve like? I know that you're a prolific blogger. I know you blog at least 2 or 3 times a week, and you're publishing books. What was the learning curve for you like, to do that? How long did it take? Did you take some classes, or did you just kind of start figuring it out as you were going?
No, I just kind of, whenever I, like I said, whenever I finally realized I really did need to write, that was something within me.
Mm-hmm.
I was so afraid. I was so afraid to even let anyone know I was writing. And so, I would write, lessons and scripts to go along with what was stirring in my heart. I just tucked them away for probably about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then the stirring inside of me that I've got to write got so strong that I knew if I didn't follow through, no matter how scared I was, I really was being disobedient.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that convicting moment for 6 months, I guess, 4 to 6 months, I would say, I wrote diligently. And my kids were younger then, they were in school. And so, I would carve out at least 4 hours during the day where that's all I did was
Mm-hmm.
I wrote.
Wow.
And so at the end of that, those 4 to 6 months.
Now, how were you writing? How were you at that time? How were you writing? Were you writing, just in a word processor, or were you publishing on the internet, a blog, or what were you doing at that time?
Well, writing that study, I did all that in Word. I was just putting that in there in Word. I think probably around that same time frame, I started a blog. The reason I even got a blog to begin with was because my cousin had a blog,
Mm-hmm.
and she posted like family pictures, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And she said, you need to get one. And so I did. And it was really more about, the journey of my family. I would post some, thought-provoking post every now and then, but it was just kind of like when I felt like it, I would put it out there.
Okay.
Didn't really try to grow the blog at that point. I'm not even really sure how many people even knew I had a blog at that point, because I was really fearful of exposing
Yeah,
myself.
putting it
As
out
a
there.
matter of fact, I think it's tomorrow. I have a post coming out talking about the nakedness of creativity. You know, with artists, when they create something, it's that vulnerability of, okay, I've created it, but now I need to share it. And what in the world are they going to think, or what are they going to say once I share it?
Yeah.
And so I didn't share a lot of my writing until I had the bulk of the first book done. And then I took it to my pastor, because not only did I question my writing at that point, I really questioned if I really knew enough about the Bible and had it right, do this.
Yeah.
And so I had all these wars just raging inside of me.
Tell us a little bit about your photography. I know you take some really great pictures. You've done some work over at the church, and tell us a little bit about why you chose to do that, and kind of photography do you like to do?
I think I was at age 8 when it was Christmas time, and I got my first camera. It was little bitty. Don't tell them what it was. It was the one that had the little flash cubes, if you even remember those. If anyone remembers those, that you set them on there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just, at that moment, I fell in love with capturing pictures and capturing stories. And as I got older and got into high school, you know, I got into photography and into the yearbook and into journalism, and my love just grew. And so I've always had a camera in my hand, although I kind of schooled myself. I learned as I went, and I shot so much that I learned. And then I guess it was about probably 4 or 5 years ago, someone just asked me if I wanted to shoot a wedding. And up until that point, I had been very fearful for the fact that, you know, that's a one-time deal. You either get it right or you don't. You know, they're not going to redo that day for you. And so anyways, when I finally got brave enough and took a second photographer along with me and shot a wedding, I fell in love with it. I just fell in love with not so much the pomp and circumstance of the wedding, but capturing the love story of the wedding. And that really is my favorite. I'm not doing much photography for hire right now, but I still, with my camera, I love going out and just capturing a moment that just speaks the story, that, you know, those shots that you see, and they make you do a second take, because you wonder what's going on, what are they thinking, what are they saying, you know, what's happening here. And so those candid shots, just capturing life, are really my favorite type of photography. I do all the photography on my blog. I enjoy that too, you know, taking a blog post, a story, and then finding that shot that, you know, kind of correlates somehow along with that story to just kind of hone in the point of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've seen some of the shots on your blog, and I mean, they always, you know, just make the story just a little bit better, because, like you say, you see a picture and it gets your mind, it wraps your mind around the story, and it's more than just the words, you know. So it's cool. Yeah. Now, I know you've been doing a couple of things this summer. I wanted to see if we can get a little bit of you know, insight on those. I know you did the summer of 7 and the $100 startup. What do you think about those two? I guess it's projects that you've done. Are you inspired for having done them?
Yes, I was challenged over the summertime from a couple of other writers to write alongside of them and work through Jen Hatmaker's book 7, which is an experimental mutiny against excess. That was a real challenge, because every week we looked at different areas, from, you know, our clothes to food to media, and we really stripped it down. Like the week of clothes, I wore nothing but 7 items of clothing all week long, unwashed. I didn't wash that week. And I really learned a lot about myself, and my eyes were just opened wide to the fact of the excessiveness that we have around us.
Yeah.
You know, we think we don't have enough, and we think so much because our minds are there, but when we really get down to it, if we were to strip our life away, we live in abundance of food, of media, of clothes, of, you know, the list just goes on and on.
Yeah.
So that was a great challenge for me. I really learned a lot about myself through that study. And then I just started the class. Actually, we're finishing up the class. I was reading the book and taking a class with Kendra and Rex Kinnison from the $100 Startup. And that has just been the most exciting class. Of course, the Kinnisons are just phenomenal encouragers and coachers, and you know, they're just there. Their wealth of just information of helping you take one step at a time. And it's been great to have them speak into my life because they've actually challenged me to kick back up. I'm starting another online Bible study, which will begin August the 2nd. And that was really an inspiration from that class because I hadn't really thought about that. In over a year was the last time I did that. Yeah. So we kicked that back off, and then even more inspiration coming with kicking off a podcast.
Is that Bible
Monday? Is
that Bible study going to be interactive? Like with the
yes,
with the
it
users?
is.
Okay.
Online, they will be able to see me via video feed, the teacher, and then the interactive part is there is room within our classroom for them to chat with one another. You know, look each other up on Facebook and make it interactive that way.
Oh, that's cool. And then you were mentioning also the second part of that was a podcast?
Yes, they really challenged me. That was a huge learning curve. And so I just sent them my test podcast to iTunes and BlackBerry. Just got my acceptance letter a couple of days ago. And so beginning next week, probably once a week on Mondays, I will have a podcast out there just, you know, encouraging people to live on purpose. You know, just life is a gift, and it's time we just kind of take that serious and just live it out on purpose.
Is that what you're titling it?
Yes, it'll be titled Living with Purpose. Sorry about that.
Cool. Very nice. All right, we'll definitely keep our eyes out for that. Kind of winding down, you know, I know there's a lot of people interested in doing these kinds of things. What's the one piece of advice that you would have for someone who's interested in doing what you're doing, in you know, maybe self-publishing or blogging or doing a podcast or doing something, you know, that allows them to take a creative portion of their life and put it out there in public?
I think the number one thing, well, I'd really just say two things. Number one, take the step and do it, even if you're afraid. Because I battled myself for years. I was afraid to put myself out there and expose any creative part about me. But that's a gift. I finally come to realize that's such a gift that God gives us, that creative nature to want to create. Because, I mean, He's the master creator. So just to take a step and get over yourself. And then the second thing is once you take that initial step and you leap, just keep it up daily. Do something. You know, write a post. You know, just constantly stay at it. Because what I have just realized in the last 6 months with coaching from Kendra is that, you know, I would hit it hard for, you know, months at a time, and then I would slack off, and then I would hit it and I'd slack off. And it's really hard to build any kind of consistency or any, you know, really faithful readership and stuff like that unless you're just every single day, you know, doing a little something, making some kind of contact with another person out there, another blog, another reader, you know, writing a little bit on your blog, writing on a manuscript if you want to write a manuscript or music or poem or paint or whatever it is, just as long as, you know, every single day we're doing a little bit of something towards that goal and that dream that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it really takes that, I like the way she puts it. She says, action creates motivation, which then creates further action, you know, so you build momentum, not by being motivated first, but by having action first. You got to do it.
Right.
You know, step into it. That's great. That's great piece of advice there. Now, Eileen, what do you do for inspiration on a regular basis? What blogs do you read? What podcasts do you listen to? What's your, you know, what are your fundamental kind of things to go to?
You know, it really kind of depends on the day and where I'm struggling at the moment. Of course, every day, the main source of what I get is, in the morning time I spend, time in my Bible, and I have a, handful of devotional books that I use. But other than that, if I'm stuck, and being creative or stuck on writing or looking for that next step to take, for writing, I have just really come to just admire Jeff Goins. He has Goins Writer, GOINS writer.com, and he's phenomenal. He's the one that inspired me to write the last little short ebook that I did, The Suburban Girl Meets the Streets. And I love the way he just puts it out there. He gives it to you just one baby step at a time. And I'm like, yes, I can follow that. So I've really resonated with his writing. Michael Hyatt has some great stuff out with his brand new book called Platform. Get noticed in a noisy world of just, nudging you on every day just to do a little something, to create that just little steps towards those dreams that you have. And, the dreams for all of us, are going to be different. So, but it's just a matter of taking those steps. There's a blog that I like to read. Her website is called chattingatthesky.com. And she's a writer, but what I love going to her blog about is because it's so art. And she also does a lot of photography to complement her writing, and totally different style than mine, but just you can just feel the creativity of her words and her pictures and art just oozing off the page. Yeah. And then there's one other place that I love to go, and this is so random. It's a holy experience with Anne Voskamp. And I love the way she writes. It's totally different, a different kind of writing. She just came out with 1,000 Gifts book that hit like the New York, #1 bestseller. But what I love is that when you go to her blog, she has some music playing, and I know in blog world you just don't do that, but she does. And the music there just captures my soul. As a matter of fact, a lot of time if I'm stuck on writing, I will bring her site up and listen to the music while I write. Wow. I just love the music that she has there. It touches my soul somehow.
Is it just instrumental, or is there lyrics?
It is. It's just instrumental. Mostly keyboard, instrumental keyboard.
Well, Eileen, it has been an honor. It's been a privilege. Let the folks know how they can follow you. Can they, give them your Facebook handle or your Twitter username and your blog, and let them know how we can get a little bit more of Eileen Snodgrass in our life.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, definitely. You can find me on my blog at positivelyaline.com. Aline is spelled ALENE, so positivelyaline.com. You can find me on Twitter at Eileen Snodgrass, and then also on Facebook, just look me up at Eileen Snodgrass as well.
All right, very good. Thank you so much for your time. Again, it's been an honor. It's been a privilege. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I really wish you the best. I hope everything works out with the things you're working on right now and the new projects coming up.
Thank you so much, David. It was just a treat to be here.
We hope you enjoyed the second edition of SocialByteCC.com's Human Interest Edition podcast. Again, special thanks to Eileen Snodgrass. You can find her inspirational work at www.positivelyaline.com or follow her on Twitter at Eileen Snodgrass. We also want to thank our program sponsor, Advanced Temporaries, Inc., your partner in staffing. You can find them at 361-855-5627 or www.advtemp.com. And Outside the Box, a marketing and promotional specialty company. If you need to get your name, your logo, your information out, just get a hold of Kathy or Jeff at OTB. You can find them at www.otbforyou.com or call them at 361-906-0216. And a special thanks to our associate producers, Imagine Support Services, turning disability into ability. Services for your loved one with special needs. Call them at 361-851-0311 or visit them on the web at imaginesupports.com. Again, that's 361-851-0311 or on the web at www.maginessupports.com. Again, thank you all for checking us out. Remember, you are our network. Like and share us on Facebook, follow and retweet us on Twitter. Help us get the word out. Until next time, friends, God bless you, and our very best and warmest regards.